by unveiling a concept that people could understand, the Chinese dream, he certainly he set out to project very clear ideas. We now know it means China's ability to reestablish itself on the world stage as a great power. It means the ability to defend itself against threats from abroad. It means the revival of its economic might. But I can tell you that in my neighborhood, that's not what people thought. When you ask people, and I went around and I said, what is the Chinese dream? My neighbor in particular, I said, what is your Chinese dream? And she said, my Chinese dream is to win the lawsuit I have against your landlord. It's very complex. She's in a very complex lawsuit. But she had truly interpreted it as the Zhongguomeng was available for her to interpret. And I was in a taxi a couple of days later, and I asked the guy, what is the Chinese dream? And he said, well, my Chinese dream, and they all attached the my to it. It was not available to them in Xinhua, but they added the my Chinese dream to it. He said, well, mine is to go to, actually he wanted to go abroad, he wanted to travel, he was now retired, he wanted to take some more time with his family. So that's a problem, because you have the expectation of that there is the possibility that you have the right to aspire to something, and now they have to figure out how to accommodate that. He recognizes that his single biggest threat is not from overseas. Mm-hmm. He talks a lot about nationalism, but that's for domestic reasons. He realizes his greatest threat is at home. He has to rebuild the legitimacy of the Communist Party in an age when communism doesn't exist and the party has been dishonored by its own actions. That's a heavy lift. And he has to figure out how to do it. And prosperity, which was the way he did it, which way his predecessors did it for 30 years, is not as available to him as it was before. It's not as easy for him to guarantee that everybody's lives will be better in 5 years than they were 5 years before.
What he's concerned about is becoming a Chinese Gorbachev, namely pushing ahead reforms in a way that loses control of the process. And so you see what outsiders see as contradictory elements, but from his standpoint, they're not. But I am not impressed with the ability of Americans to run China. Americans actually had substantial influence over the opening and reform process in Russia, and look what we got. We supported democracy in Egypt, and we got it. And we got President Morsi. So in other words, I think when we try to put ourselves into the posture of saying they ought to be running their country this way, this is like a bunch of Saudi Arabians sitting around and saying, we're really concerned about the influence of the religious right in the United States. What should we be doing about it?